Day 8, part 2, years, whatever significance, high significance. Was that fire horse enough for you? There's a lot to say, and there were some things I just forgot to say. Like, these videos are my address to the. I said all that, but I'm trying to relax because things need to come out. It's personal, and I'm addressing. I'm putting them up in YouTube, doing little edits because sometimes concepts happen in short little minutes like that. I'm ending up with a lot of bullet points about what I'm trying to explain to Alan Kirk and others, and that's why I let myself go till I get the chance to fix my driver's license and all this. I have. I just have to get a copy of it back. And the other things I'm doing, I'm sorry, because I've been helping people in Uganda and Kenya and others, and trying to be an influencer, or at least keep my eyes and ears on the whole the world and where we're at. And it's crisis. People know it. In the United States, we have this interesting opportunity where everybody's kind of like aghast at both sides. And what do we do? Well, what about getting on the ground with some real projects? And what does that mean? And people are aghast at what they're calling the matrix. And it's become a real thing where you're disconnected from the real world and you're walking around with this has been a while now. That people have been in a matrix since the movie. People are already staring into their iPhones, slow motion apocalypse, waiting for the end of the world. They're seeing it in video first, and then it happens, and they don't notice it. And who's they? Most people in even a lot of places like India and China and even Africa. But Africa, they're actually closer to the idea that we need to grow some food because people need to eat. And that's where is the basics of a building block. It's one of the many threads I'm doing. This was the one that's actually happening first because there's donation money loose. So there's a little bit of an upgrade on just me talking to the air. Uh, is donation people. You know, you could give to not just organizations which have lost a lot of credibility. USAID. There's some people that lost their food. People I know who are getting less in food money now. The people that we're trying to help with the orphans, and the orphans themselves are getting food directly from donation organizations, and organizations are not as easily trusted anymore. So there's a lot of individuals, and some of them I'm helping. Two of them I've been helping, and then two more I just recently started. And it's like I don't really can't afford that. I got enough for myself, and I've got another couple of weeks of winter while I try to drop the last few brainstorms on what's going on here. That's kind of what I wanted to say. This is going to YouTube. 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes is kind of a little short, and some of them get compelling. And I encourage people to. There's no copyright on this. Uh, but it is a complex thesis, and maybe bullet points that need to go into a flyer, and then an address focused into an actual dissertation, Professor Mikey Yikes style. Uh, and if we were going to do that, I'm suggesting that what we can do for people to actually get out of the matrix. But people are stuck having to do a job 9 to 5, 5 days a week is just debilitating, especially if it's not something you believe in. I have examples right here among my friends and allies on the property and other people I know, and we're all, understand that, like, oh my God, it's, and everyone looking in the news to the elites, and the idea that we need to break out of the matrix, that's a concept, as if they were doing it to us on purpose, because it's like, come on, get over all of that. It could be the case, but whatever, we still have the agency of not doing it and getting into our own thing. And I suggest the Occam's razor, which means the simplest explanation, is not that there's a convoluted elite trying to manipulate us, although an elite at the top of this right now would take advantage of natural divisiveness to protect their position. But that's not how this all came about, I don't think. But in any case, we're in a place where people want to stop feeling manipulated, and yet they want to keep pointing fingers and not understand what the possibilities of getting back into their own agency It's understandable. It's difficult, and it's holding it back. That's why I'm saying it's not just about explaining it to people. We got to get some people making it happen. That's the Intrepid Citizens Council has to involve. Try to get venture capitalists. I think there's billionaires on the loose, intrepid billionaire loose types. I've met them, and but where are they now? Mike, you're making it's too utopian. Well, no, we need to break out of the box, and yet also keep it grounded. And the things I keep talking about, the meta narrative, keeps me away from being too as practical as I want to be. But you want to have the inspiration from the Jehovahite side that we can make this happen. Let's have the majesty and confidence that this can work if we step up and understand what we're trying to do. And it's not us versus them. See, each side has fallacies. The Jehovahite side has the fallacy of everyone else is evil. That's not what he says. But that's what the Christians end up coming around to, and that's wrong. Christians just need to do what it says: keep your nose clean, and treat your neighbor as yourself. That includes who you're calling evil. You don't get to call people evil. That's Jehovah's job, if there is such a thing, which there well might be. Now, there is such a thing as evil. Step away from it, but don't be mesmerized by it. That's the whole E-Files. But it's also the idea that the elites manipulate us. Step away from that. They're just holding the line on this system, which includes an elite. And it's going to keep going that way until something breaks out. And the breaking out involves getting back to real things, which means food and other ways to ground the reality of it and get back to talking to each other. And the incentives to do that. And the need to do that, because we're going to have a planet that doesn't work. And people are thinking they can just watch this on the news or in the social media. But that's where you get your clues to what to do next. So right now, we're not meeting yet. But that's what needs to happen. We got a small town below a big city. And that's the situation everywhere. So what are you talking about? Can we grow some of the food we need so people don't have to buy it? How much is that worth in terms of time, in terms of somebody organizing that? That's the example of a real project that's stepping out from nowhere. But everything we're doing involves a grounding in real resources. Even though we're so removed from it, we don't understand it. What I was wanting to maybe pitch is what the point of this, beyond the idea of resources. People are also complaining about surveillance. Surveillance, if you get back to co-op ownership or membership in grounded resource companies, and then you bring that back to meaningful communities of belonging and meaning, and you know the people, and this is something you do gradually within the current context, and you're not forcing it on every industry. That doesn't have to go that way necessarily. It needs to happen with grounding keystone projects, and it can happen from many directions. Right now, I'm doing the direction of cultural appeal and trying to rationalize the logic of it. And that only goes so far. You have to demonstrate how it functions. And that comes out in the context of new enterprises or retrofitting old ones, or current businesses take a Thursday to try some of this or some format like that. And meanwhile, the more it's explained above board, the more the possibility of people visualizing it. I can see it. That's what I've been trying to share. And right now, a lot of that's to me in the one mind. And then I take notes and reshare it. But if there's anyone out there, we're talking about trying to make things happen, and then maybe also visualize more things that we can talk about how things happen. A lot of the things that can happen are simple to do, but they need the proper motivation to get people doing them. And I wanted to say some more proper motivation. Money goes away, other than how it relates to your credit within a context of grounded resource. So if you have credit in a, in a company or your own network of, that's where you got, where the food's coming from or whatever else you're talking about. And you have a very complex modern society. And the idea that all this gets retrofitted into this, not right away necessarily. But you take your time. But the first thing that happens is you're going from profit to providing. And it's a shift that happens organically. But I was going to say, there's other things that we fear. That the only way to do this is what I'm saying. People people say the government's never going to serve us. That's right. The government is never going to serve you. The government serves the status economy. But if the status economy is a network of responsible community owned or cooperative owned, and you have your internal politics there, that's where you can work it out person to person, and not this oppressive national vote. And you think they and them and those and the leaders are someone other than your people. I'm one of the leaders. Anybody talking to me, I'm one of the leaders because I'm stepping out and taking risks and trying to make sense out of things. And that's all anybody can do. And I'm in a place where I'm not looking to, I'm 70 now. I could have turned this into a book, but all along I've been looking away and analyzing ways of how we can break it out on the ground. So, for a while, I'm going to be talking to the video and taking these notes and then doing little shorties and putting them on YouTube so people can share it there. And what we're looking for is some people to work with. But I'm also looking to get in with some of these podcasters because suddenly we're in a place where the culture is personal. And that's part of what we need to do, breaking out of these institutions. But we don't need to be doing, everybody's still pointing fingers. There was another fear I was talking about. Fear of surveillance, fear of losing, credit. If you keep it at a national, global, institutional response to communitarian needs, that's what it comes down to. So you're running roughshod over the different identities of the various communities, and the communities they have to self originate and self manage, or it's there's a discrepancy of them and us, them doing it to you. And it's not that hard. And that's what people do when they start a business. But right now, the business is still in a context that's not holistic enough. But so if I'm pitching this to like venture capitalists, I'm saying, look out, your money's going to be worth nothing. Okay, there was and the other fears, right? The lack of meaning in your life. And the fact that you're always constant, and then the idea that you're going to lose your job. In a community-based business, the more jobs we can not have to do and somehow get them taken care of, that's the proper context for automation. The proper context for AI is not to try to find shortcuts to sell people more bullshit they don't really need that much. Now, is there something we really need among the bullshit? You know what I mean? Most of the time, there is something you need, but the way it's been, engineered obsolescence and other things that are incentivized by the current thing, but to shift it out. So the fear of them doing this to us, the advertising doing it, so stop. And then, you have an intelligent context to move into informed consumer and informed producing, and that brings it back. And now I guess I'm talking, because the only people who are ready to do something are the degrowthers, and they see it as just less of this. Instead of, we need to step into something new and different and more exciting and more wholesome. And that's how you get everybody on board. You don't get people on board saying you need less of this. And yet those are the only people looking at this realistically. And then the rest of you all are still enthralled by the idea that we're going to have more of everything without really being responsible to how it all comes together. You know what I'm saying? So and yet you're the horse. I'm not holding back. I might have room for another one of these. I'm running out of my data. And there's natural limits to where I can do and what I can do. And eventually, I'd love some allies from Z generation. But that's a lost generation. I hate to say it. I really, every now and then I reach kids a little bit. But they are so sad of what looks like a future that's not there. They're not idiots. I kind of froze my own attitude back. I said, I'm not going past 22. I'm not going to get older than that. And this was an intentional response to what I could see the end of the 70s. In the mid 70s, they killed Jimmy. I don't want to say they killed him. It really looks like it to me. I suppose he could have gotten really, but in any case, we weren't ready for the rest of his vision, because things need to play out karmically and organically. And there was the whole globalization was going to happen. Everybody's still pointing, oh, we could have done something else. Yeah, we didn't though. And you know what? I don't think we could have done anything else. I don't think we could have. And if you look at it that way, see, even if you're just believe in the ascension of civilizations, but you don't include the Jehovahite one that says this is the last one. That's why it's so ugly right now. A lot of parts of it. But at the same time, why you should really step into the possibilities. Now, but people need to think outside the box of the old paradigm, which Scott is thinking, and even again with I don't know. This is a new thing. I think all three of the meta narratives let you be isolated, but that's not cool. Bring it back to the community where it makes sense. There is a vision of community at the metaphysical. The Buddhist Sangha is dreary. The Christian community is happier, but even so, go to the party after party that we're throwing, Ascension after party.